Hello and welcome back to another Metricool tutorial video. In today's video, we're going to be talking all about our integrations with Looker Studio and Zapier. If you are unfamiliar with these, then go ahead and keep on watching and we'll get on into explaining everything. So like I said, today's video is going to be all about Metricool integrations, specifically Looker Studio and Zapier. I'm going to go ahead and start with Looker Studio first though. So if you aren't aware what Looker Studio is, it's actually a free tool that pulls in data from Google products such as Google Ads, Google Analytics, Google Business, and it's a really great free resource to pull in those metrics. However, it doesn't necessarily pull in that data from other platforms, which is where Metricool comes in. So we actually have a Looker Studio connector so that we can import our metrics from your connected accounts into Looker Studio so that you have a really nice seamless integration between those Google metrics and your Metricool metric. So I am going to show you how to make that connection and a quick example that I created so that you can see how you can use the integration nicely. However, before I do get started on that, I do want to mention that Looker Studio is a premium integration feature, so it is only available on our advanced and enterprise plans. So if you are looking to try out Looker Studio, you will need to have either one of those plans. So I'm actually going to start with the connection first. So you'll want to make sure that you are in the connections page on Metricool. So if you don't know how to get there, you're going to go into the right-hand tab and then click down to connections, and this is what the page will look like. And you're going to scroll all the way down. If you have the appropriate account, it will show up here. Now, as you can see, it does say Data Studio, and that is because previously it was called Data Studio and now it's called Looker Studio. It is a very interchangeable name, so if I by some chance call it Data Studio, I am talking about Looker Studio. But you'll see that once we actually head to the website, you'll see that everything is associated under Looker Studio. So you're going to want to click on Connect an Account. And once you do that, this box will pop up and it's going to have a couple of different things on it. So it's going to say use Metricool as a source of data, and it's going to basically tell you that you can create your own custom dashboards using the information from your social media and platforms. Then you're going to see an access token, and this is going to be important for you when you are making that initial Looker Studio connection. You're also going to see create data source, which is where we will head to in a second, and then you will see Metricool template, which are some templates that we have provided to you, and then we have more info. So more info is actually a blog post that gives you step-by-step instructions on how to make the connection and how to use Looker Studio with Metricool. It's a great resource if you want a written explanation. It also has another video example, and it is just there for you if you do come across any additional trouble. So I'm going to actually click onto it so that you can see what that blog post looks like. So it'll actually take you here, and it's called Social Media Dashboard with Data Studio, Looker Studio. And as you can see, there are different graphs, different step-by-step explanations, as well as some video examples. So please utilize this free resource as well, especially if you do like to read instructions as opposed to just hearing them. Everyone learns differently, so this is just another valuable way to make the connection. So let's go back to the connections page. So like I said before, you are going to want to pay attention to your access token. So you can actually access this access token in two different ways. You have it here and you can just copy it. Or if by some chance you happened to be in your account settings, you can do that as well. So you'll click into account settings, scroll down, and you'll see an access token here. It's the same exact thing. You can copy and paste it, but those are two different ways to get that access token. So I'm actually going to go back to the connections page and click back into Data Studio, copy my access token, and then you're going to want to click on Create Data Source. So once you click on Create Data Source, it will take you directly to the connector. However, I do want to show you a different way that you can do this because there are two different things. So if you are actually just in the Looker Studio website, you can make this connection here as well. And I do like to show the Looker Studio overview page just because sometimes people like to come here first to kind of get a feel of the product. So this is the overview page. And as you go down, you can see that it says connect. So it's telling you you can connect a wide variety of data. You can visualize, so you can turn that data into nice graphs, nice visuals, and you can share. So you can share these reports with, let's say, your clients or let's say your team. There are many different ways you can use Looker Studio. So this is what the overview page looks like. So you can also connect to Metricool by actually going to the Connect to Data page, which when you are making the first time connection, this might be the easier route, and you can search the connectors. So you can look up Metricool, and it's going to show you the social sources by Metricool. So you can just click on that, and it's going to open up a new page. And as you can see, it took you to the same exact page that the initial link that we clicked did. I do like to show two different examples just because depending on where you're starting, there are multiple ways to get to this page. So now that you are in the connector and you have clicked onto the Metricool specific one, you are going to be asked to put in that access token that you copied. Now, since I have already connected it before, it doesn't ask me for that API token. It will only ask you the first time that you do it, so you'll want to paste that in, and then once you paste that in, it's going to ask you how you want to select the brands for the data source. So, for example, here it just asks you, if you want to do one brand, if you want to blend the brands, depending on, so choose the option that works best for you, and then you'll go ahead and click next. So I'm actually going to do just one brand selected manually, and then I'm going to go ahead and click next, and then it's going to give me another option. And then now we're in step 2, which is which brands should be blended. So I'm going to actually click on Metricool English because that is the account that I want to do the connection with. So then I'll click next again. Now, once you have picked that, you can select a network for the brand or bring it all in with the intelligent connector. So you can click what data you want to import. Now, if you have multiple brands connected with Metricool or you have multiple different accounts, you can go ahead and bring that all in. Or let's say you just wanted to use Looker Studio and integrate it with just Instagram or just Facebook, you have that option as well. However, I'm just going to do all data, and then I'm going to click next again. Okay, once you have completed step 1, step 2, step 3, you are going to get a little written note here, and then you will just click connect to continue, and then that's going to make that connection. Now, I'm not going to click connect just because I'm already connected, but that is how simply and quickly you can connect the connector, and it's just some simple questions that you have to answer. So I'm going to actually exit out of this tab and exit out of the connect to data one, and this is what Looker Studio will look like. So this will be kind of the overview page. You can see it's similar to like what you would see with Google Drive. It's a very similar concept because, again, they're both Google products. So now that I am in Looker Studio, I can go ahead and show you how to create a document, and I'll show you a little example I made of how you can use that data from Metricool to your advantage within the Looker Studio platform. So you can go ahead and click on Create, and you can do a report, a data source, or even Explorer. However, I am going to show an example of a report that I had made previously. So I'm going to click into that, and I just have it called Test. And as you can see, it is just an overview report. So I created this report based off some of our Instagram metrics. So as you can see, I have Instagram evolution by followers, Instagram evolution by impressions. I have where our users are located, as well as some metrics about our Instagram Reels. So I'm actually going to click into Edit so that I can show you a little bit of how you can create a graph like this and all of the metrics that you can, customize. Okay, so now that I am in the Edit page, this is what it's going to look like. So as you can see on the left-hand side, you have that visual report nice and ready to go. And then on the right-hand side, you'll have a data column, and then you kind of have a blank column in the middle. So this is kind of like your Let's Get Started panel, and it's where you will actually click a lot of your data. So basically, it's telling you that you can drag a field from the data panel, which is this, to the canvas, which is this right here, the visual part, to add a new chart or select a component on the report canvas to edit it. So it's very customizable. You can do so many different things. You can add a page, you can add data here, you can add a chart. And these are all the different types of charts you can add, like a table, a time series, a bar, Google Maps, a line graph. You can even do a scatter graph. And there's just, you can click into any of these and just see all of those customizations that you can add. And then if I actually click into any of these graphs, you'll see that this middle pane will automatically populate depending on the metrics that we're looking at. So I clicked on this Instagram evolution to followers, which basically kind of shows me just like a graph of how we grew over a specific period of time. So from June 16th to July 13th, you can see how we grew on any given day, how many followers we had over that period of time. So since I clicked into it, you'll see here that that middle column has now populated, and you'll see here the chart because this is the specific type of chart. So if I wanted to change it, I could click on any of these. I don't want to change it, but that is an option. And then it's going to give you the setup. So you'll want to look at things by the dimension and the metric. So my data source, of course, is Social Sources by Metricool, and this was that connector that you made. So this will stay the same. But your dimension is going to be things like evolution, so evolution date, the time period that you're looking at. And then your metric is going to be, the metric, so the amount of followers that we had over that time period. So you always need to have a dimension and a metric in order to fully have like a fully functioning graph. So you'll see here, evolution date. If I click onto it, I can see other things. And you'll see that my list is specifically very long, and that is because I chose to import all of my data and all of like that connected metrics. Depending on what you choose when you're making that connection, if you only chose Instagram, you would really only see, Instagram. But because I chose everything, I'm getting Google Business, I'm getting Instagram, I'm getting LinkedIn, and you can see it really dives deep because you can do LinkedIn posts, LinkedIn stories, Pinterest pins, TikTok videos. You have many different options. And then in metric, if you click on that as well, you'll see here that you have some more different types of information like brand info. You also have Facebook competitors, Facebook demographics. You have many different metrics to choose from as well. And it also gives you, if it's a sum type of metric, if you want to do average, the min, the max, the median, you can, again, like I said, fully customize these graphs to however you want. So if you're showing this to a client and maybe you want to show them how metrics fluctuated over a specific month, you could create multiple different graphs showing that. Let's say you only wanted to talk to your team about how your reels have been doing. You could just make this graph completely about Instagram reels. So it's a really nice integration, especially if you are metrics heavy and you are really trying to understand and also have that visualization to go hand in hand. So as you go down, you can see that there are different things that you can do. You can auto or custom the date range. You can do cross-filtering. Again, the best way to do this and to figure out how to use Looker Studio is to just really dive in and, start clicking around and start getting familiar with the platform. And then if you click on over to style, you can even, like I said, you can customize it not only with metrics, but you can also stylize it however you'd like and make your graphs look exactly to your preference. And like I said earlier, if you click into dimension and metric, it does give you that drop down. But if you just go straight over here into the data column, you can see all of what those metrics that were imported by Metricool are. And you do have the little drop down option as well. So this also gives you kind of a good idea of what this all is. And it's also drag and drop. So if I wanted to drag and drop anything, I could. I can also add a field, add a parameter. I can even add more data if I wanted to. So if I were to click into a different graph, you can see here that it actually changed. So instead of having, my metric be followers, this one is Instagram evolution with impressions with my evolution date. So here I have the dates, and then I have our impressions on those specific dates. So as you can see, it's all very customizable. You can do many different things. These two are somewhat similar in the sense of, they're giving you evolution depending on like followers or impressions. But for something like this, which is demographics wise, I'm actually able to see where our users are by city name. So if I were to zoom in onto this graph and then go over here to the United States, I can see those little black dots are where some of our users are located. And then even with this, I made this because I was really interested in learning more about our reels. This one shows our Instagram Reels, and you can see it says image linked, which right here shows those images that are populated on our Instagram. And it shows our reach as well as our likes over a specific period of time. So these are reach as well as likes, and I can scroll down and see some of the more recent reels that we've done. So my biggest advice with Looker Studio is that you just dive in, you start clicking around. Definitely make sure to read the blog, because the blog is a really great resource for you if you are just needing a little bit more in-depth written explanation. And start using this to create beautiful graphs to share with your team, your clients, just for yourself if you are looking to understand metrics more. But yes, this is a great integration, and we hope that you test it out. So moving on from Looker Studio, now we are going to talk about Zapier, which is the other integration in this video. If you don't already know what Zapier is, it is a tool that helps you automate your workflows so that you can streamline and really save time. And again, similar to Looker Studio, this is a part of our premium plans. So you either need to have an advanced or an enterprise plan to create this integration. So let's go ahead and get started. So you'll want to make sure you are in the Zapier website. You should create an account if you don't already have one. I already created an account, so I'm already logged into mine. And making the connection to Metricool is pretty simple. There are a few different ways you can do it. You can do it by clicking on Create Zap. You can click the search bar here and search for apps, or you can go down here to My Apps. And as you can see, I don't have any personal apps connected, but you can click on Add Connection. So I'm going to click on that, and then you're just going to want to search for Metricool. So I'm going to click on Metricool, and then it is going to actually take me to this page, which is asking if I want Zapier to have access to my Metricool account. So all I need to do is make sure I put in these two requirements, which is using a name for this connection. So I could just do Metricool EN and then my API token. So in order to find the API token, you need to actually go back to Metricool. So I'm already in that page, but what you'll want to do is you'll want to go to the right-hand pane. You'll want to click on Account Settings, which I just clicked on, which takes me to this page. And you'll want to make sure you're in Identification. Scroll down, and this is where you have your access token. So just go ahead and paste that, and then go back here, paste that in, and then hit Yes, Continue to Metricool. So it made that connection, and now here you can see that it is fully connected. I have Metricool at Metricool EN because that's what I named it. I have 0 zaps, but it's telling me that I have that connection. Super simple, and it will only ask you for that API token that one time, so you only have to do that step the first time that you basically sign up for it. But again, do remember that you do need to have an advanced or an enterprise plan. So now that you have made that connection, you can go ahead and get started with automating. So before I show you an example of how to use Metricool within Zapier, I do want to go into the Metricool integrations page just because I feel like it gives you a really great overview of some of the things that you can do with Zapier. So basically, it lets you connect Metricool with thousands of popular applications. So if you scroll down here, you can see some of the apps that you can pair it with, things like Google Sheets, ClickUp, Google Calendar, Google Drive, Asana. Asana is a really great one. We use Asana all the time. So these are just some of the applications that you can pair Metricool with and start making those automations. And if you keep scrolling down on that page, you can see some that are already input here as ideas. So you can schedule posts on Metricool for new Google Sheets row. You can share new Metricool post drafts as channel messages in Discord. There's so many different things that you can do. And I just wanted to show this page because it is a great resource so that you can get an idea of just what you can connect it with. We also do have a blog post that is going to be linked in the description box that you can always reference. It shows you how to basically use Zapier with Metricool. It's a nice written description. It tells you what Zapier is. It tells you how to integrate it. And it also gives you some examples of triggers and actions that you can do, as well as gives you a nice other little video that you can watch. So make sure you check out that free resource as well if you're looking for a little bit more in-depth of a written explanation. So moving back over here, we're going to go back to the Zapier main page, and we're going to go to our dashboard, and I can show you exactly how to create a Zap. So with Zapier, you have Zaps and you have Actions, and it actually explains it right here in our blog post. So basically, zaps are considered workflows, which is what it says right here in our blog, but you can have within that workflow, within that zap, you have a trigger and you have an action. So a trigger is what starts the zap, and the action is basically the event that the zap performs. So if we were to click on Create Zap, you could see here that I would click on my trigger. So we would want to click Metricool, and then from here, it's going to ask you your event. So let's say, for example, I want to do new published post. So this is what's going to start the zap. And then if I hit continue, I can see here that my Metricool account is connected. So I can hit continue again. And then I can choose the brand. So I have a couple different brands associated. So I'm going to click the brand I want and hit continue again. And then it's going to ask me if I want to test my trigger. So they'll find a recently published post in Metricool to confirm that the trigger is set up correctly. So I could hit that to test the trigger. If I wanted to integrate it with a different application, I could do that as well. Like, let's say, for example, I wanted to integrate it with Asana because we use Asana pretty frequently. I could choose an event. So let's say, for example, let's say I want to create a task. So then I can hit continue. Now this is where I would need to connect Asana, but basically every time there is a new published post in Metricool, that will be the trigger, and the action that occurs because of that trigger is that a task in Asana is created. So as many accounts as you want to connect, you can go ahead and play around with how you can automate those workflows with Metricool. So I got out of that Create Zap section, and I actually went back to the home page, which is in the Zaps. And you can see here that I have one partially created. So it's not on because I don't have the Asana connected, but if it was, I could toggle it on or off if I wanted the Zap to be running. And then it tells me the last edits if I titled the Zap, and then it shows me the 2 accounts that are associated. So if you wanted to view that, get the details, see the history, you can even move it to a specific folder or delete it entirely. This is where you're going to see all of the different Zaps that you create for automating those workflows. And that is how you use Zapier with Metricool. Again, this was a very brief overview of how you can use the integration. Our best advice, which is similar to what we said about Looker Studio, is to create the account, get in there, and see all of the different automations that you can do. And that is how you can use our integrations with Metricool. Don't forget to use the code TRYFREE to try 30 days free of any of our premium plans. And because these integrations do come with the premium plans, I would highly recommend, if you have been wanting to try out Looker Studio or that Zapier integration. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!